Putin's aide urges Iran to consider civilian safety in potential Israel conflict, the news gist. He said Putin acknowledged Iran's need for retaliation but asked them to avoid targeting Israeli civilians. A key aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin has urged Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, to respond with restraint following the suspected Israeli assassination of Hamas leader, Ismail Haniyeh. He said Putin acknowledged Iran's need for retaliation but asked them to avoid targeting Israeli civilians. This message was conveyed on Monday by Sergei Shoigu, the key Kremlin ally. Shoigu met Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, before engaging in a series of discussions with top Iranian officials regarding their response to Haniyeh's assassination. Iranian sources described Shoigu's visit as one of several efforts by Moscow to urge Iran to practice restraint while condemning the assassination as a very dangerous act to prevent a broader Middle East conflict, Mail Online reports. Two sources familiar with the discussions did not disclose further details but warned that the region is on the brink of major conflict, suggesting those behind Haniyeh's assassination aim to provoke a wider war. Since its war with Ukraine began, Russia has strengthened ties with Iran and is preparing to sign a broad cooperation agreement. No official comments have been made by Iranian or Russian officials about this week's talks. However, Russia's state-run RIA news agency reported that Shoigu confirmed the assassination and discussed Iran's potential response. Iran also requested the delivery of Russian-made Sukhoi Su-35 fighter jets during Shoigu's visit, highlighting the growing military cooperation between the two nations. Meanwhile, a U.S. official warned that Iran's response could escalate tensions into widespread violence if they launch a significant strike on Israel. Despite international efforts to persuade Iran to exercise restraint, Tehran has indicated it will respond severely to Haniyeh's killing. Hezbollah, supporting Iran, stated that diplomacy is no longer viable and that a retaliatory strike is inevitable. In the midst of this, Hamas announced Yahya Sinwar as Haniyeh's successor. Sinwar, seen as a defiant figure close to Iran, signals Hamas' continued resolve to fight Israel. Gaza has faced severe destruction, with extensive damage and numerous casualties from Israeli strikes, but Sinwar remains determined to continue the conflict. Israeli military spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari commented on Sinwar's appointment, indicating Israel's preparedness to target him. Meanwhile, Hezbollah declared its support for Sinwar, framing his appointment as a symbol of Israeli failure in Gaza. Advertisement. First African Distance Learning University (FADLU) admission now open. Putin's aide urges Iran to consider civilian safety in potential Israel conflict, the news gist. He said Putin acknowledged Iran's need for retaliation but asked them to avoid targeting Israeli civilians. A key aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin has urged Iran's supreme leader,